Your signature right here, honey. Just a formality for the business loan. I stared at the notification on my phone, blinking to make sure I was reading it correctly. $247,500 past due, final notice before collection. The room seemed to tilt sideways as I swiped to open the email from Silverton Credit Union. The first thing I noticed was that it wasn't addressed to both of us. Just me. Melissa Harmon. Not Melissa and Drew Harmon. Just me. I sat down at our kitchen island, the same spot where Drew had casually slid those papers across the granite countertop 3 months ago. For the restaurant expansion, he'd said, kissing my temple as I signed without reading. 12 years of marriage had built that trust. 12 years, apparently, was how long it took to prepare the perfect betrayal. I scrolled through the email, words jumping out at me like slaps across the face. Personal guarantor, default, asset seizure, legal action. The loan wasn't for our restaurant, Harmon's Table. There was no restaurant expansion. The loan was through a company I'd never heard of, Westlake Holdings, LLC, with me listed as the sole guarantor. My hands shook as I opened our joint checking account app. The balance that should have read close to $90,000 showed $42. 17, our savings account, $15.63. I checked our investment account, empty. I called Drew, straight to voicemail. I texted, need to talk about the Silverton Credit Union notice. Call me ASAP. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared. No response. That's when the nausea hit me. I barely made it to the kitchen sink before losing my breakfast. As I rinsed my mouth, I caught my reflection in the window above the sink, pale, wide-eyed, a woman in freefall. But beneath the shock, something else was forming, something cold and focused. Drew and I had built our life meticulously. He handled the business financing while I ran operations and menu development at Harmon's Table. Our division of labor had seemed efficient, not suspicious. Now I wondered what else I'd missed while perfecting our seasonal farm-to-table menus and managing our 30-person staff. I drove to Harmon's Table, our restaurant in downtown Lansing that we'd built from nothing 8 years ago. The brick facade with its hand-painted sign had been my pride, the culmination of both our dreams after Drew left his corporate job and I abandoned a promising career in hotel management. The lunch rush was in full swing, servers weaving between tables with plates of our famous whitefish and arugula salads. Maria, our hostess for 5 years, gave me a strange look as I walked in. Her dark eyes registered confusion. "Drew's not here. He said he was taking a few days off to be with you. For your mom's surgery?" My mother was in perfect health in Florida, tending her garden and terrorizing her golf club's membership committee. "When did he tell you that?" I kept my voice neutral, though my heart hammered against my ribs. "Yesterday afternoon. He seemed in a hurry." She tilted her head. "Is everything okay, Mel?" "Fine," I lied, heading toward the back. "Just a mix-up with our schedules." In Drew's office, the smaller of the two we kept behind the kitchen, I rifled through his desk. Credit card statements I'd never seen. Receipts from restaurants in Grand Rapids I'd never heard him mention. A brochure for beachfront properties in Puerto Vallarta, and a small notepad with 8:40 p.m. written on it, tonight's date, and what looked like a flight number scrawled beneath. I checked our restaurant management software. For months, our food costs had been reported at 38 cents, higher than our target 32%, but Drew had blamed inflation and supply chain issues. I dug into the raw data. The actual invoices totaled much less than what had been entered in our system. The difference, nearly $6,000 per month, had been disappearing somewhere. My phone buzzed, a text from our sous chef about tonight's special. Life was still happening around me while mine imploded. I texted back instructions automatically, my mind racing ahead. I drove home in a fog, half hoping I'd find Drew there, that this was some massive misunderstanding. Instead, I found our bedroom closet half empty, his expensive suits and casual wear gone, his toiletries vanished from our bathroom, his passport gone from the fireproof box in our home office, and on his desk, a sealed envelope with my name on it. "Mel, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. I'm sorry it came to this, but I needed a fresh start. The restaurant was failing, has been for over a year. I tried to tell you, but you never wanted to hear it. Always so optimistic, so convinced we could turn it around. We couldn't. I've taken what I could salvage. Don't try to find me. By the time the dust settles, I'll be somewhere you can't reach. I suggest you file for bankruptcy immediately. It's your only option. I did love you once. Drew, I crumpled the letter in my fist. The restaurant wasn't failing. I handled the books alongside our accountant every quarter. We were profitable, even expanding our catering business. Whatever money Drew had taken, it wasn't because Harmon's table was sinking. I thought about our last normal evening together, just 2 nights ago. Drew had grilled steaks on our back patio, poured expensive wine, told a funny story about a wine distributor. He'd kissed me deeply before bed. Had he known then he'd be leaving? Had he already packed a bag, hidden somewhere in his car or at the restaurant? Was that kiss goodbye, or just another performance in his long con? I called Jackie, our accountant. Melissa, I was just about to call you. There's something strange with the accounts. Let me guess, they're empty. How did you? Yes, all the operating accounts were drained yesterday, nearly $200,000. I assumed you and Drew were moving banks and forgot to tell me. Do you have the transfer details? Sent to an account at First Maritime Bank. I don't recognize the account number. Jackie, I need every financial record for the past year. Every transaction Drew authorized without me. Every new account opened. Every vendor payment. Everything. Melissa, what's going on? Drew's gone, and he's taken everything. She gasped. Gone where? That's what I need to figure out. I hung up and sat in our home office, surrounded by the life we'd built. Photos from our wedding, our vacation to Mackinac Island last summer, the grand opening of Harmon's table. Had he been planning this even then? While kissing me on the Ferris wheel at the pier? Had he been calculating how much he could take? I picked up our wedding photo. My parents, both gone now, smiled next to us. My father had been skeptical of Drew initially, a quiet reservation that melted over time. He makes you happy, Dad had finally said at our rehearsal dinner. That's what matters. Would he have seen through Drew's charm? Had I been blind from the beginning? My phone pinged with an alert from our joint credit card, a charge for $4,300 at Grand Rapids International Airport. I logged into the airline's website, searching for tonight's 8:40 p.m. flight. Cancun. One way. Of course. No extradition for financial crimes. I opened my laptop and began searching. First Maritime Bank, Westlake Holdings, LLC. I found the LLC registration through the state business portal, created 6 months ago with Drew as the sole member. The address listed was for a mail forwarding service in Wyoming, a shell company designed to hide assets. How had he learned to do this? Who had he become while I wasn't looking? Another alert, $270 charged at airport parking. He was already there. I didn't have time to fall apart. Falling apart wouldn't save my house, the restaurant, my credit, my life. I needed help, professional help. I called Erin Delgado, a lawyer I'd met through the local business association. We weren't close friends, but she'd given me her card after I'd helped her organize a charity dinner at Harmon's table last Christmas. Drew did what? Erin's voice crackled through my phone speaker 30 minutes later as I paced my kitchen, the same kitchen where Drew and I had tested recipes on Sundays, where he'd twirled me around after we got the bank loan for the restaurant, where we'd made love on the floor one drunken night after a successful New Year's Eve service. He forged my signature as guarantor on a massive loan, emptied our accounts, and is about to flee the country. I need to stop him. Okay, slow down. First, we need to document everything. The forged signatures, the fund transfers. No time. His flight leaves in 4 hours. Once he's in Mexico, the money's gone forever. Melissa, even if we could get an emergency court order, we'd never process it in time to. There has to be something. My voice broke. I gripped the counter to steady myself. Please, Erin, he's taken everything. Silence on the line. Then, maybe there is. Is the money still in that First Maritime account, or has he moved it offshore? I checked the bank alert Jackie had forwarded. The transfer was yesterday. Knowing Drew, he's waiting until he's safely away before moving it again. Financial institutions have fraud prevention protocols. If we can prove the money was transferred illegally, how fast can we move? I'll make some calls. Meanwhile, gather every document you can find. Loan papers, bank statements, anything with your signature that might have been used as a reference for forgery. I hung up and tore through our home office. In the shredder bin, I found torn pieces of paper, practice attempts at my signature. In Drew's desk drawer, a copy of the loan document with my signature. I held it up to the light next to an old check I'd written. The differences were subtle, but clear. The way the M in Melissa slanted, the loop on the A too perfect. He tried to imitate my casual scrawl, but couldn't hide his own precise penmanship. I found our old tax returns, our marriage certificate, the deed to our house, all with my authentic signature. I photographed everything, my hands steadier now that I had purpose. The initial shock was wearing off, replaced by methodical determination. Aaron called back. I've got a contact at First Maritime's fraud department. They can freeze the account temporarily if we show evidence of criminal activity. But we need to move fast. I've got forgery evidence, and I can prove the restaurant isn't failing. He lied about that in his goodbye letter. Forward everything to me now. I'm sending you paperwork to sign, giving me power to act on your behalf. While Erin worked her legal magic, I remembered something. Drew's laptop. He'd left it behind, probably too rushed to remember the one device he never let me touch. I found it under the bed where he must have shoved it when packing in haste. Password protected, of course. I tried his birthday, our anniversary, his mother's maiden name. Nothing worked. Then on a hunch, I tried Melissa Sucks. It opened immediately. My chest tightened with a pain that was both fresh and somehow unsurprising. His email revealed everything. Messages to a real estate agent in Puerto Vallarta about beachfront property. Emails to an offshore bank in the Caymans. And correspondence with someone named Vance about business opportunities that required significant capital investment. The emails went back 11 months, almost a year of planning, of living with me while plotting to destroy me. Most damning was a draft email to himself with a checklist. Transfer remaining inventory proceeds to FM account. Convert to cash once in MX. Contact Stefan about package upon arrival. Destroy phone, get new one. Melissa bankruptcy papers in office safe, the office safe. I ran downstairs and spun the dial. Our anniversary, which suddenly felt like another betrayal. Inside was a manila envelope containing pre-filled bankruptcy papers with sticky notes indicating where I should sign, along with a smaller envelope containing $5,000 in cash. His idea of generosity? A parting gift to tide me over while I lost everything? I sat on the floor of our home office, the bankruptcy papers scattered around me. This had been our dream home, a 1920s craftsman we'd renovated together, with a kitchen garden I tended and a screened porch where we'd planned to grow old together. Now every corner felt like a crime scene. My phone rang. Aaron? They've frozen the account. All $487,000. $487? That's more than double what was in our accounts. He's been siphoning money for months, Melissa, probably inflating vendor invoices and pocketing the difference. Classic embezzlement. Can we get it back? With this evidence? Absolutely. But there's more. My contact says there's a fraud alert on Drew's passport from another case. Some investment scheme in Ohio last year. If he tries to board an international flight, he'll be flagged. I felt a cold clarity wash over me. So he's stealing the money but can't leave with it. Exactly. And once we file the emergency injunction I'm preparing, that money will be returned to you as the legitimate business owner. What about the loan? The one he forged my name on? That's our next battle, but with proof of forgery, we can fight it. It'll take time, but time I now have, I finished. Get to the courthouse. I've arranged for a judge to see us at 6:30. By 7:15 p.m., we had an emergency injunction transferring control of all Harmon's table assets back to me and freezing Drew's personal accounts pending investigation. By 7:45, I had signed affidavits testifying to the forgery and fraud. By 8:15, I was pulling into the short-term parking at Grand Rapids International Airport, the taste of iron in my mouth. The airport was busy with summer travelers, families returning from vacations, business people on late flights, couples holding hands. I'd always loved airports for their sense of possibility. Now they felt like the scene of a crime. Drew's crime. I found him at gate B12, carry-on beside him, staring anxiously at his phone. He wore the blue button-down I'd given him for his birthday last year, his hair freshly cut. He didn't notice me until I sat down directly across from him. His face went through a series of emotions, shock, confusion, then a forced smile. Mel, what are you doing here? I think you know. He glanced at the departure board, then back at me. Look, I can explain. Your flight's delayed, I said, nodding at the board. Mechanical issues. They're saying at least 3 hours. Relief flooded his face. He still thought he was getting away. Listen, the letter was harsh, I know, but the restaurant really was in trouble. No, it wasn't. You've been stealing from us for at least 6 months. Probably longer. His expression hardened. You can't prove that. Already did. First Maritime has frozen all the accounts. The money's being returned to Harmon's table. My restaurant now. I slid the court order across the small table between us. He snatched it up, eyes darting across the legal text. This won't hold up. I'll contest it from Mexico. About that, I said, just as an announcement came over the PA system. Will passenger Andrew Harmon please report to the ticket counter? Andrew Harmon to the ticket counter, please. Drew's face drained of color. For a moment, I saw the man beneath the mask, frightened, cornered. Your passport flagged a fraud alert, I said. Something about an investment scheme in Ohio? Turns out you've been busy longer than I realized. He stood abruptly, looming over me. You bitch, you think you've won? I have connections you don't know about, people who can make your life hell. Like Vance? Or Stefan? The one with the package? I've forwarded all your emails to Erin Delgado. She's my lawyer now. She's quite interested in your network. His hands balled into fists. For a moment, I thought he might hit me, right there in the crowded airport. I didn't flinch. Part of me wanted him to try to add assault to his growing list of charges. 2 airport security officers approached. Mr. Harmon? Drew looked from them to me, desperation in his eyes. Melissa, don't do this. We can work something out. I'll come home. We'll fix this together. I stood up, now eye level with him. Like we built the restaurant together? Like we planned our future together? While you were forging my signature and emptying our accounts? I was going to pay it all back. I just needed to make this one investment. Oh, I almost forgot. There are some gentlemen from Silverton Credit Union very eager to speak with you about Westlake Holdings. I told them you'd be available tomorrow morning. Something about $247,500 in unsecured debt? Apparently, my signature as guarantor was deemed invalid due to forgery. Funny how that works. The security officers moved closer. Sir, we need you to come with us. Drew's shoulders slumped. As they led him away, he turned back once. What happens now? Now? I go back to our restaurant, my restaurant, and make sure tonight's dinner service runs smoothly. The whitefish is particularly good this season. I watched until they disappeared around the corner, then walked slowly back to my car. My phone buzzed with a text from Erin. All accounts reverted to your control. Meeting with Silverton tomorrow at 9. You okay? I typed back, better than okay. The drive back to Lansing felt strange, like I was returning to a different life than the one I'd left that morning. In a way, I was. The familiar landmarks along I-96 seemed sharper somehow, as if I was truly seeing them for the first time. The sunset painted the fields gold, the same gold as our wedding bands. I twisted mine off and dropped it into the cup holder. By midnight, I was at Harmon's table, checking in with the closing staff, reassuring them that despite some financial restructuring, their jobs were secure. Where's Drew? Asked Carlos, our head chef and my friend for nearly a decade. He won't be coming back, I said simply. Carlos studied my face, then nodded once. No more questions. Good. His taste in wine was terrible anyway. In Drew's, now my office, I found a bottle of Macallan 18 he'd been saving for a special occasion. I poured myself 2 fingers and opened the restaurant's financial software. There was damage to undo, vendor relationships to repair, and a future to plan. The next weeks passed in a blur of legal meetings, depositions, and restaurant operations. Drew, released on bail, had been ordered to surrender his passport. Erin worked tirelessly to untangle the web of financial fraud, while I reintroduced myself to my own business, learning parts that Drew had kept hidden from me, discovering strengths I didn't know I had. The staff rallied around me. Maria organized a schedule to ensure I took breaks. Carlos revamped the menu to cut costs without sacrificing quality. Even our regulars stepped up, spreading the word that Harmon's table was still open, still excellent, despite the family emergency we'd vaguely referenced. At home, I boxed up Drew's remaining belongings and donated them to Goodwill. I repainted our bedroom, rearranged the furniture, and planted new herbs in the garden. Small exorcisms. 3 months later, On a crisp autumn evening, I stood in the newly renovated back patio of what was now officially Melissa's table. The expansion Drew had claimed we couldn't afford was nearly complete, with a grand reopening scheduled for next month. The space was transformed. Warm lighting, living green walls, a stone hearth for winter dining. Nothing like what Drew and I had planned. Something entirely my own. My phone buzzed with a notification. Case file CR 2023-85742 updated. Drew's plea deal had been processed. 2 years for fraud and financial crimes, full restitution to be paid to me and the other victims from his prior schemes. Not nearly enough for the betrayal, but enough to ensure he wouldn't enjoy his freedom while I rebuilt what he'd tried to destroy. I put my phone away and greeted the contractor with the paint samples for the new sign. The deep teal I'd chosen was bold, nothing like the muted colors Drew had always preferred. The future stretched before me, no longer defined by betrayal, but by what I would build from its ashes. When the contractor left, I sat alone at a table on the patio, watching the sunset paint the Lansing skyline gold. A server brought me a glass of Cabernet without my asking. "From the gentleman at the bar," she said. I looked over to see Mark Chen, the financial investigator who'd helped track down Drew's hidden assets. He'd been a steady presence through the legal proceedings, explaining complex financial terms, helping me understand how to protect myself moving forward. He raised his glass in a silent toast. I smiled and raised mine in return. Not in gratitude, I'd paid for his services after all, but in recognition. We were two professionals who'd done our jobs well. Later, I walked through the dining room, greeting customers, checking on service. A woman at table 7, a regular whose name I'd embarrassingly forgotten, reached out and caught my hand. "I've been coming here for years," she said, "but it's never been better than it is now." I thanked her and moved on, feeling the weight of wedding ring no longer on my finger, the lightness of a burden shed. Some papers are meant to be signed, some trails are meant to be followed, and sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't what you take back, it's what you build next.